You think the parting of the Red Sea was a beautiful holy miracle. No, it was the most brutal psychological kidnapping in human ancient history. I did not split the deep waters to give them sweet freedom. I split the ocean to permanently destroy their only way back home. The moment the giant walls of water crashed behind our wet feet, my 60,000 people realized their old comfortable world was completely dead. They could no longer run back to the safe chains of Pharaoh. They were trapped in a giant burning cage of endless yellow sand. My name is Moses, and I am a premier historical corpse carrier. I did not lead a holy march to a shiny promised land. I managed a massive dying city in a 40-year logistics wasteland. Look at my shaking, wrinkled hands under the cold, lonely night sky. They are not covered in holy oil from the grand golden temple. They are stained with the bitter, dry dust of my dead brothers. Let me laugh at my own stupid younger self for a moment. I thought I was a grand hero when we left Egypt. I honestly believed they would thank me for breaking their heavy chains. What a brilliant piece of childish comedy that was in the sand. The great Egyptian empire died at the very edge of the sea, but my own terrifying corporate nightmare started on the very next morning. Do you actually know what 60,000 hungry human mouths look like? They do not just sing beautiful praises to an invisible silent God. They wake up every single sunrise with a fierce scream for bread. The burning desert sun was melting the skin off our broken backs. The salty, dry wind was poisoning our swollen, bleeding throats for weeks. One single human body needs 4 liters of fresh water every day. Do the cold math for a massive, moving nation in the wild. We required millions of gallons of clean water every single week. The Sinai Peninsula had nothing but dead rocks and blinding heat waves. I did not just carry 2 cold stone tablets of laws. I carried the heavy weight of an impossible military logistical disaster. I became a glorified camp manager who talked to bushes for a living. My regular people believed the white food dropped directly from heaven. They did not see my personal scouts dying in the dark nights. They did not see the sharp bronze knives hidden in bushes. The wild wilderness was already strictly owned by very fierce local tribes. The savage Amalekites guarded every single small green oasis with iron spears. They knew we were coming to steal their secret underground water springs. Survival in the dry sand is a brutal zero-sum game. If my thirsty people drank the water, their young children would die. I had to send young Joshua into the narrow, rocky valleys. Our dynamic holy crusade was actually a dirty tribal war for resources. We fought with stones and broken copper axes for many months. The white sand turned dark red before we tasted the well. I held my wooden staff high until my old bones cracked. I was not praying for magic from the silent blue sky. I was directing a desperate group of starving men to kill. You must ask yourself why we walked for 40 long years. Look at the ancient maps of the tiny Sinai Peninsula carefully. A healthy, fit man can walk across it in 3 weeks. We were not lost in the endless hills of sharp stone. I knew the exact geometric route to the promised green land, but I purposely turned the massive human column back into storms. I chose to waste 4 long decades in the blinding dust. Because you cannot build a free kingdom with broken, submissive slaves. The old generation still remembered the smell of Egyptian meat pots. They still missed the absolute safety of their old iron chains. They whimpered like weak dogs whenever the fierce wind blew hard. A slave cannot fight the giant stone warriors of Canaan. I had to let the desert kill the weak old minds. I needed a new generation born in the wild, howling wind. They needed to nurse on the bitter milk of survival. They needed to see their parents turn into cold, dry sand. My long march was a calculated psychological social engineering project. I was forging a weapon of steel out of fragile human dust. Let us speak about the dark nights under the mountain of fire. Starvation does strange things to the minds of once holy men. When the wooden baskets were empty of food, the true monsters came out. Mothers began to curse my name in the heavy darkness of tents. Strong men began to steal from the small children and the sick. There were no prisons in the wilderness to hold the guilty criminals. There were no police forces to keep the fragile camp from burning. Chaos was a greater enemy than the sharp swords of the Pharaoh. I had to create an absolute system of terrifying divine authority overnight. The thunder on the Rocky Mountain was my ultimate political stage asset. The smoke and the fire were my chosen tools of governance. I did not bring down simple religious rules for peaceful Sunday mornings. I brought down a strict constitutional hammer to reshape their broken souls. The law had to be cold and heavy like the mountain. If you broke the boundary, you were instantly stoned to death. How ironic it is to play the part of a supreme god. The people needed a supreme judge who never showed any human hesitation. They needed to believe that the silent sky was watching their thoughts. I had to cut off my own family from special privileges. I had to punish my own sister when she questioned my power. You cannot run a massive tribal machine with soft words of love. Every morning I sat in front of the giant leather tent. I listened to hundreds of dirty disputes about stolen goats and water. My eyes grew dim from looking at their angry, greedy faces. They wanted the freedom of gods, but they had the habits of dogs. I had to build a grand portable tabernacle out of pure gold. Why did I demand their precious gold jewelry in the wasteland? Because human beings only respect things that cost them a heavy price. The gold box was not for a god who owns the universe. The gold box was a grand psychological anchor for a drifting nation. It gave them a single glowing point to look at in storms. Then came the day of the great golden calf under the cliff. I was gone for 40 days to negotiate the future of our law. When I returned, the entire camp had devolved into madness and wine. They traded their ultimate historical destiny for a golden statue of a bull. They wanted an easy god who demanded no moral discipline from them. My heart did not break with sadness, it burned with pure terror. If I did not stop this madness, the nation would dissolve into dust. I smashed the holy stone tablets right before their screaming faces. I ground the gold calf into powder and forced them to drink. I called the sons of Levi to draw their sharp bronze swords. We had to perform a radical surgical operation on our own body. 3,000 men died in the cold camp before the next morning. They were my neighbors and they were the sons of my friends. I did not do it because I loved the smell of blood. I did not do it for personal crown or vanity. I did it because infected limbs must be removed to save life. Look at what I have successfully built after all the blood. The heavy price was paid in the silent valleys of the desert. A new breed of iron men finally grew out of graves. They did not know the soft, submissive life of old Egypt. They only knew the sharp bronze sword and the strict law. They were cold and they were fast and they were dangerous, but a pack of young wolves does not need an old shepherd. The terrible tools of survival are never welcomed in the peacetime. My long hands were too dirty from 40 years of war. My loud voice was too harsh from shouting cold, bloody orders. The young warriors looked at my bent back with silent contempt. They wanted a beautiful, clean king for their new shiny palace. They did not want the man who smelled like desert corpses. The mysterious voice in the sky told me to stop walking now. I was forbidden from entering the green pastures across the river. My tired old feet will never touch the soft, sweet grass. I am not angry at this silent, holy executive decree today. A true corpse carrier must always disappear when the job is done. I am climbing the lonely mountain of Nebo completely alone tonight. The distant campfires below look like thousands of tiny stars. The young people are singing songs of victory and future wealth. They do not need their old fierce master to guard them. My holy laws will be carved deep into the hard stone, but my old body will belong to the lonely mountain dust. No human being will ever find my quiet, hidden resting place. That is the final ultimate tax of a premier historical guide. You must bear the terrifying burden until the very last mile. You must push your people directly into the golden bright light, and you must be completely willing to fade away into dark.